All right.
Hey, everybody. We are live. You are tuning into Casual Convo Friday. My name is Tisha. I am in Arizona. We've got Nate out of Georgia, my partner in crime on Casual Convo Friday, and the brilliant question asker. And then we've got Gary Hype Rogers out of Florida. Hello, Gary.
Hello.
Gary has a website called Check Your Game, and both of these gentlemen, I'm just giving a shameless plug, are my sponsors for the upcoming Startup Business Grant that I am giving on September 15th. You do not want to miss it. But today we are diving into how your choices affect your life and how you can always pivot. And I love what Gary says when you find that check your engine light come on, like in your car, but for your life, like how do you go about pivoting and taking a new direction? So I'm excited. If you have comments, please put them in the chat. We are checking those. We will be chiming in and getting back to you either real time or in the replay. But I'm going to go ahead and put it over to Nate so he can start our interview.
All right. Let's get to it. All right. So, Gary, your site's dedicated to people talking about, stories of their life, inspirational stories where they've overcome stuff or things that's happened to them and stuff like that. So let's talk about choices and how they affect our lives based off of some of those stories and your own story as well. And the first question I have for you is can you talk about the moment that you first realized your choices actually had a big impact on your life? Like, I feel like that's one of those coming of age type of things that we all go through, but let's hear about yours.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Tisha and Nate, for having me. This is exciting. And Tisha, I'm so sorry. I know it was Black Day, and I mean, I'm wearing. Isn't there a little bit of black in here? It was. I mean, it's like I told
your headphones. You're wearing black. You're wearing headphones.
Yeah. My headphones are black. Yeah, but the thing is, I like to do this. I like to do some different things, but anyway, this is. I don't have too much black, but you know what? Before I get into your question, Nate, before I answer that, I just thought I would do a couple different scenarios. I would like to share two stories with everyone about some things, just about my, some things in my life. And I want to know from you both and others. I see there's hundreds of people watching, hundreds or there thousands. Oh my, this is
millions.
Amazing.
It's millions.
You know what? All these questions, I wouldn't even know how to answer all these questions. I'm looking at them. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, it's okay. I love that it's just the three of us. Maybe there's more, but who cares? But you know what? Story number one, October 19th, 1991. I'm playing football for Vanderbilt Commodores. I'm a linebacker. And we're playing the Georgia Bulldogs. They were 5-2. I believe we are 2-5. If you understand football, we were playing. Their defense was a 4-3. I was one of the three guys, the linebackers, and we were 5 yards off the ball. And what happened was there were a couple plays in this game up to this point where the fullback, he just runs right up the middle, and a dot happens to me. I just come crashing down, right? I don't do anything. I don't make a play. I don't make a tackle. The tailback runs off. They did that twice. And this is kind of pathetic. I'm probably getting yelled at. I don't feel very good. Now, I get to my position. The play starts again. And I'm just sitting there looking. My eyes are looking. I'm looking straight ahead, but my eyes are looking right and left. And I catch this fullback. He's looking at me. I catch him staring at me. It's like, are you kidding me? You can't do that, man. You're coming at me again. You're doing the same play. I know you're doing the same play. And so I made a decision. I'm not getting cut again. This is not working. And so what happens is here I am. Here's the fullback. And as soon as the play starts, we start running at each other. I'm going as fast as I can to the line of scrimmage. I got 5 yards to go to get to him. We go running at each other. And he dives low at my ankles. At the same time, I go over. So I'm diving over top. He's diving below. And that's kind of what it looked like. Now, the tailback behind him didn't know this was happening. And I hit him pretty good. He fumbled it. And I hit him pretty good. And, with technology today, I probably would have heard about this right away. But I heard from friends back in Cincinnati, Gary, you were ESPN's hit of the week. I'm like, really? I was hit of the week? Wow, that's amazing. So that was an exciting time. That's story number one. I'm going to have to take off my earphones for a second.
Oh my. Oh man. Okay. See, he's all prepped. Costumes,
I know.
jerseys, and all.
So-
Wow. Okay, this is exciting.
He's ready.
So, I continued on my days, in college, thinking about myself, thinking about football. I just thought of myself in football. I was going down my own path. I was looking for highs in life, anything I could find, temporary highs. ESPN hit of the week, yay. And by the way, after I hit him, I just want to do a shout out to somebody here in Florida, because after I hit him, we're all cheering, everybody's jumping on each other. And you know how sometimes guys headbutt each other for good play? Well, I've got this friend. His name is Shelton Quarles. I played football with at Vanderbilt. He went on to play for the Bucks for 12 years. And you know what day today is for Shelton?
No.
What is that?
It's his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Shelton. And I've got another good friend, Carlos Britton. It's your birthday as well. So happy birthday to both. But anyway, Shelton, by the way, he headbutted me. And I'm telling you, I got a stinger. I think I had to leave the game for a play or something. But anyway, so I continue on my ways. I end up going to the Canadian Football League. I went to this place called Saskatchewan. I never even knew what that place was before I got there. And I'm playing for a couple of years, and I'm on Gary's path. I'm still on that same path, right? I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about myself even more. I'm doing more. I'm getting more highs, bigger highs, and all that. Until one day, now this is story number 2. Until one day, I woke up in bed in an off season after playing. I'm still playing, but in an off season, and I was miserable. I mean, things were not working. I mean, like everything people say you touch it, it turns to gold. Man, my stuff, I mean, there was no gold. There was nothing. It was miserable. In fact, I tell people that I couldn't even eat food to give myself a high, right? Like eating food should make you happy, but I couldn't even eat food. And so I've been on Gary's path for too long. I was 27 years old, always thinking I'm doing my best in sports and kind of in life. But you know what? I didn't realize it, just didn't know it. And so I had a decision. I could keep on going down this path of mine, Gary's path. But there's this other path. We all have this other path. And this other path, I'm calling it God's path. My story is one of faith. And so I became a Christian when I was younger. But we all have free will. And man, I used my free will to serve myself until I made a choice to say, God, I need you to take charge. I need you to open my eyes to life. And so what happened at that moment was my eyes got open. Like if you're, say you've got some glasses on or something and some steam comes up and it gets all foggy, you're like, man, you can't see, or your windows in the car, early in the morning and all that, you can't see. Well, that's what was happening to me. And so finally, it all became clear to me in my life. And so I realized I have some room to improve, lots of room to improve. And so I made new choices. I decided before I went to play football, I wanted to treat people better. I wanted to stay away from the bar scene. I wanted to take a Dale Carnegie class. I wanted to buy a house, fix it up, and sell it. And I also wanted to play football. And so I went to play football. I did all those things. And I accomplished all those things. And for the first time in my life, now, by the way, Nate, I sent out a LinkedIn post and it talks about Colonel Sanders, the secret recipe. You saw that. And so I get excited because I talk about Colonel Sanders. He came up with this secret recipe for chicken. And I love the secret recipe. But I discovered the secret recipe to giving my best, not just on the field, but also off the field. And so for the first time in my life, it took place in practice. I discovered what it took to give my best. And what it was that I was not only working hard in my sport and doing all those things, getting in shape, listening, coaches, watching film, but I was doing these other things. And some of them weren't easy. I was making better choices. You're talking about choices. I was making better choices. And what I felt inside was peace and was contentment. So my question is, I got story number 1. About the shiny on the outside, and I got story number 2 about a time of humility, a time of change, a time of, some new things. Like, What would you rather hear, Nate and Tisha? Like, what is it? Would you rather hear story number 1 or story number 2?
I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's always great to hear number one, but number two brings a lot of lessons to me. I love hearing about how people have to overcome stuff, how they have to figure things out. Anybody can go through life as long as that easy path laid out before them. But I've always found interest in the nitty gritty parts of life. That's always a bit more interesting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Tisha, what are your thoughts? 1 or 2?
Well, I missed half of that, but I'm going to go with it's a God story, absolutely. Because Gary, I've shared that very publicly here on LinkedIn too. That I was in a very similar place. Like I keep going down this path and trying to do it myself, and hopefully I'll get there. I could just be like, you know what, I'm going to let Him take the wheel and guide me to where I need to go. And so far, all good. Like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Karen chiming in. So I was trying to respond to Steve, and I must have hit something, so it took me out of the system. But good, I'm seeing Steve Ricks and Karen Green also chiming in as well. But yes, it's all part of the journey, just like Karen's saying.
So Tisha, what you're saying is we now have 1,002 viewers.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
2 people that are interested in hearing what we all have to say.
There's so many, Gary, that it booted me off the system.
Hey, Nate, we're breaking records. And so, you know what, Nate, what's interesting is you share about that first story is that, that's cool and everything. And I can give some more details about that. If we like in person and I can stand up and show you and do different things, it doesn't do it justice on this. But I'll tell you what, story 1, that's an important part of when people share their story, because I needed to have, these highs in life, because that brought a high. I mean, like, that's what I want. I love that, right? I love making plays and having people cheering for you, getting chills. And I went after that. And like, wow, this is cool. But you know what? I needed all that stuff to happen to get me to this place where I finally was humbled. So that's an important part. In fact, when people do share their stories, hey, you don't just talk about the humility part. What leads up to it? Something has to lead up to it. And usually it's some prideful things, right, Tisha?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I feel like you're on top of your game, right? And you're just untouchable. And something's going to happen that's going to make you realize that you can't be doing this all on your own. Like, it's going to humble you for sure.
Yeah.
I had that. And I shared that pretty publicly, of 2017 being my worst year ever. Year ever.
Yeah.
I was definitely feeling the imposter syndrome. I was trying to be somebody I'm not. And I'm like, what? I'm just going to step out and be me. And whether you like it or not, I don't really care.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, and Nate, by the way, so the question you're asking a little bit about, how it got started, but so basically just to continue on with that, story 1, story 2, but I realized, like, I found this way. I got the secret recipe. Colonel Sanders and Gary Rogers, man, they got recipes for different things, right? And so after that season, I put these 3 words together called check your game. And little did I know, I mean, I thought it was catchy, but little did I know, I looked up the words, check is to examine. Your is about oneself. Game is defined as a business, sport, your passion, also the game of life. And I realized that previously to when I came up with those words, that's what I did. I examined my game of life. I first was humbled, and that's what happens before we examine. Before we open up the hood, Tisha, we have to see that check engine light going off, right? Mm-hmm. Nate, in life, there's got to be, usually there's some kind of humbling before we want to change. And I was humbled, right? Like many people get humbled. And that's when we make a decision like, hey, let us see what's going on. This is not working. This path is not working. What do I need to do? You need oil. You need air in your tires. You need your engine replaced. You need whatever it is, right? And so I started Check Your Game because I thought, you know what? I want to start a brand that can encourage others in a similar situation to me because I was out there on my own. I felt like I was on an island by myself. And little did I know, there's thousands of people out there, hundreds of thousands of people who've experienced similar things as to what I was experiencing, but I wasn't connected. And so it's been my intention with Check Your Game to basically get these stories from all areas of life, all categories. You know, I don't tell people what to share. They just share whatever they want, and then they share their advice or wisdom. And so I love connecting these stories, just basically to encourage others. You know.
I know.
Did that answer that, Nate?
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. You know, the perfect answer to my great and wonderful question.
Oh yeah.
So brilliant. So brilliant.
We've got two extraordinary people here, and then we've got Tisha over there.
Oh, boo. I am extraordinary.
Well, you didn't let me finish. I was going to say that you're above us in extraordinariness, but I mean, you know, you just had to cut me off. So.
Oh man. Okay, so this is probably my lesson in just being humbled and just stop talking, Tisha.
You guys do great. You guys, I love this. You guys, Tisha, just chime in and Nate chime in, and like this is great. I've done this before with you, Tisha, and I love it. And Nate, the extraordinary questions. I mean, I don't even know where you come up with these questions. I mean, the research you do for this stuff is amazing.
I mean, you know, I basically just cyber stalk everybody if you really want to know the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
What I would love to know, like, do you have a second question? I don't know. Like, I would love to hear what this would be. This would.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know,
nice. Let's hear that question. Special thanks to Michelle too for joining. She just wrote, "Love that. Must be humbled." So I think this is touching a nerve with some people, Gary, with our 100,000 people that are listening to this right
Pretty
now.
Much. Yeah.
All right, you two. All right, so here we go. So we talked about how choices can affect our lives and everything. So what were the results of those choices about that moment that you realized that choices had a big impact?
Yeah, so the result was, and I'll talk about this specific time when this all took place. It was on the field in practice. It was that same year I made these changes. And I sat there, I was on the left-hand side of the line, and the offense, the scout team offense was trying to draw us off sides. And they say, down, set, hut, hut. You know, they do it twice, right? It's on two. But on that first hut, by the way, I'm getting to this answer to the question, by the way, Nate, but this is, I got to set this up.
Set it up.
So they say set, hut, hut. But on that first hut, what took place was the entire line next to me all went off sides. Like, I don't know what's going on. You guys are closer to the ball than I was. Like, there's a way to do it, man. You know, the corner of your eye sees the ball. The snap doesn't start on the count. It starts when the ball moves. So you should be watching that ball, and you should just be focused, paying attention. And so this was the moment when I realized how this all worked on the field, okay? And so what happened real quick was this. I'm like, wow, you guys all went off sides? And then quickly I realized I went down the line of my teammates. I knew my teammates well. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, by the way. I'm not saying like anything like that. But for whatever reason, I knew what they're all doing during the week, the night before, whatever. You know, we see each other all the time. And I went down the line. I said, you're out at the bar all night drinking, partying. You're doing this. Like I was like, not to be judging people, but I was saying these things that you guys are doing outside of your sport are actually affecting your sport. And you were not even able to stay on sides. But I was focused. I was paying attention. These things I was doing outside of sport, it didn't get me. I wasn't thinking, oh, I hope that girl doesn't. Oh my goodness, is she going to see me? I hope that doesn't happen. I wasn't wondering. I wasn't like who's after me, you know? And again, I haven't been perfect, right? During these years, trust me. But during this time, I was working on it. And so at that point, I knew, and by the way, before I knew this, they did not stop practice for me. hold up, everybody. Gary, let's give him more money. Let's shower him with balloons. It's a celebration. He's finally giving his best. That didn't happen. But let me tell you what happened. Inside, wow, did I feel good. I felt this peace and this contentment. I was so shiny on the inside. I finally discovered it at age 27. It took me this many years to discover not only how to give my best on the field, but even off the field. And so, Nate, there's the answer.
All right.
There it is. There it is, Nate. I hope you caught that, Nate.
I just recorded, to be quite honest.
It is recorded. It is recorded.
So let's hear about it. Let's hear about an event for you. I mean, you brought up your worst year and stuff. What are let's hear your answer to that type of question. Let's get your side of it.
So I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome, ever since I started in business. So guys, I am just celebrating my 16th year in business. So in 2004, September 10th, I launched my very first business, Simply Put Marketing, and that's long gone by now because I've, pivoted. But it just, I think in that time I was trying to be a lot to other people. I was definitely one of the people pleasers. Like I remember taking a Myers-Briggs test and it's like, you were so a people pleaser. And I was like, I don't want to be a people pleaser. I don't want to be the yes girl. I want to be able to set boundaries. I was living a life very much like what you were saying, Gary. Like the priorities in my life were not my priorities. Like my kids, my husband. I think I was going around saying my kids or my husband are priorities, but I'm leaving them to go do this job, And it was all about building the business and keeping the facade. And I'd walk into a lot of networking groups and I'm like, I felt like I had to be like the it girl. I had to measure up and, hype myself up. And it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling. And I came crashing down hard in 2017 because I was a victim of fraud. My parents were divorcing. Like I was in just bad relationship with my husband at the time. Like we were not really separated, but kind of in our minds, we were separated, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm like, you sleep on the couch. I'll sleep in the room. No, I'll sleep on the couch. Like and it was a really challenging time. And my kids were really young at the time. And I don't know, you guys, there was a question that came through one time that said, are you born with confidence? Or do you gain confidence along the way? And I remember saying to the person that wrote it, I was like, I think you do have confidence. I think we are born with that fearless mentality, but I do feel like you lose it as you get older, as you keep growing. And I know for a fact that year, my confidence was like zero. It was zero. Like I was like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't feel like I can help people. I feel like I'm living this massive lie. And it's hard when you're an entrepreneur and people see you in all the posts, and then you go home and you feel like life is just broken. Like life's just broken. And, and I do feel though that we go through the things and they definitely grow us. So I wouldn't say that the things that I went through, I regret. I feel like it made me stronger. It allowed me to bounce back. I was able to be more resilient. And so on my birthday, so September 15th, Gary, if you didn't know, Nate, if you didn't know.
Nice.
On my 38th birthday, so 2017, I was, 37, 2018, I'm 38. And I started to say, what's my big, bold move this year? What's my big, bold move? And my big, bold move came on that day where I jumped on Facebook. I did a live. And no, I didn't have technical difficulties, Nate. I know you're already thinking it. And I know some of you, some of you who are tuning in, you've read my book before. I share that I have this whole video that I titled Light 37 on Fire, because I wanted to dispel the myth that things are perfect in my world. And I get on this live video and I am like crying and I'm like wishing myself happy birthday. I'm like tearing up. I wrote 37 on a piece of paper and I was tearing it up and throwing it in the air. And I was like, no more 37. Like this year sucked, but I think at that point, like your check your engine moment, Gary, that was my check your engine moment where I'm like, this is a new me that's emerging from this. This isn't the old
Yeah.
Tisha. Like, I'm going to start fresh today, slate clean, new year, new birthday, new me, and start moving. And you will see the transformation of when my brand started kicking in and where I started to live that authentic with a touch of badass self that you guys keep seeing show up. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a shit what you think anymore. Sorry, pardon my French. I think we're not censored on this. But that was really a turning point where I was like, if you knew me back then, I wasn't even the same person. Like, this is me,
Yeah.
all of it, no
Yeah.
apology.
Yeah. And Tisha, that's great thanks for sharing all that. I mean, that's not easy to talk about, some of those things, talk about our relationships. And that's a big one. It's hard to be not only humble, but also transparent. But you know what? It's important. It's important to be those things. People love being around humble people. And you know what? To be able to share that, the humility it takes. But that's great because you know what you're doing? You're not going through life and just holding on to all these lessons, these life lessons, and saying, you know what? Yeah, that was hard, and this was hard, and this and that, and like I'm just going to take them to the grave. I'm going to take all this stuff to the grave. You're like, and I tell people, I say, when you share your story, when you're able to do this, you're able to take the lemons of your life and help others drink lemonade. And so I love this lemonade because it's yellow, just like the banner here. So that's pretty cool. I planned that out, by the way. I knew how do I incorporate yellow into this conversation? I just came up with that.
I got you.
No.
And then we've got Nate with his sweet tea sign. So now we've got Arnold Palmer's going on with his lemonade.
That's
How
right.
you reinvent lemonade.
Yeah.
Pour a little sweet tea in your life and it becomes way better.
Yes. I love that. I do.
I've always loved making, like, I've never used a kettle before in my life. We grew up just boiling water in a pot. You put the tea bags in. That's it. And my mom's always had this like plastic scoop that I have no idea exactly how much sugar she puts in it, but fresh out of the pot, hot tea with some ice in it on the summer, good to go.
Oh, hot.
I like the hose. Hey Tisha and Nate, I like the hose. Like back in Cincinnati where I lived, as a kid, we just pull out the hose and be drinking that water. But now let me tell you something. For those in Florida, if you come to Florida and you decide to do that hose, be ready for a lizard to come out of that at first because the lizards they sneak in that hose. So you got to run it for a little bit, let the lizard come out, and then maybe have some hot water.
Oh man. All right. Well, I will not be doing that because I probably would pass out from a heart attack.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gary, we've got just over 2 minutes left, and I want to give you a chance to do a little shameless plugging of your situation you got going on there. So let's hear it. What do you want to promote yourself today?
I would love to say happy birthday to Tisha when it comes next week while we're live. So happy birthday, Nate. I talked to you.
Thank you.
That's the first thing. And Tisha, you're doing a really cool thing with your giveaway and some sponsors. And so Nate, you're a sponsor as well. And so I would love, that's pretty cool. So thanks, Nate, for doing that. And I got to know you, Nate, and the other day a little bit better one-on-one, and you do some great things. And I would suggest for my 2 minutes that they should, if they don't know you guys, man, connect Nate and Tisha, and if you are friends with them, hey, send them connections to some of your connections. I love connecting, by the way. Connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn and do a personal message. If you don't do a personal message, what I do is I say, hey, tell me about yourself. Tell me something that isn't on your about section because I want to know who people are. I think it's so important to not just be able to see this outside. The outside, it comes and goes. The big house, the cars, the this, the that. Okay, shiny. I don't really care about that as much. I want to know you on the inside. I want to see the shiny on the inside. And anyway, so that brings me to Check Your Game. So feel free to go to checkyourgame.com. And if you're looking to, you want encouragement with an area, go to the Life Stories page, go to the search and filter section, And then you can look up different things by category, by name. In fact, Tisha's there. You can put Tisha's name in there. And then secondly, if you have a story, if you have a time when you finally opened up your eyes and you made a decision to get on a new path and want to share about that story leading up to that time and what took place, I would love to have you share on Check Your Game. I do have an online questionnaire, but we can do that over the phone. You can do it online. I also do videos, and I'm just, Check Your Game is catching everything. But I'll tell you what, God made us so that when we do certain things, he gives us certain results. And I would just encourage people, make good choices, think about what you're doing. It affects so many people. The simple choices we make each day, we have no idea how much further down the line it goes. But I would just say you want to give your best, start by examining your game of life and start working on it. And I try to do that every day. But hey, thanks again for having me. And I would love to help connect anybody, do anything I can, really. I love to give, love to serve. And so please connect with me on LinkedIn.
All right. Well, good stuff. Thank you, Gary Hype Rogers. I really do love all the jerseys. I was like, is he going to have another one under there?
I've got more. It's too many today to deal with.
It's too hot. It's too hot in Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, always a pleasure. I'm going to give a shout out to Erica. I'm just kidding. But it's her birthday too on the 17th. And I know Gary, she was tuning into my live stream with Gary. So good to see you, Erica, as well as everybody else, Michelle, Karen, Steve, everybody that tuned in, Tandra. And thank you to all the other 100,000 people that didn't leave a comment, but please do. We watch the replays and we always comment back. So if there was something that you liked in this live stream, please let us know. We love doing this. Nate and I do this every single Friday. And if you're looking to be a guest, we'd love to have you too. So make sure to send us a message while you connect with us with a personal message. All right. That's it for us. Nate, always a pleasure. Gary, good to see you. And we'll catch you guys back next week and have an awesome weekend.
Yep. Y'all all take care.
Bye.